Did you know that culture can be an engine of growth and of jobs? Don't forget, if you liked our economic capsule, to go and give us a like in YouTube under the voice of Heidie Calero. Today, as I said before, we are going to talk about a very specific topic which is very close to my heart, and it really could be an engine of growth, and that is culture. And we have to be careful. How do you define it? But unfortunately, we do not have very specific statistics regarding that particular definition of culture. But we are going to try our best to give you some documentation, as I always like to do with our economic capsules. The first graph that you see here, just next to me, it depicts columns. Those are from fiscal 1992 through fiscal 2020. And those columns are the contribution of culture to GNP. What do we define here as culture? Well, in income and product, one of the national statistics in Puerto Rico, they depict certain economic sectors. One of them is entertainment and arts. The other one is in terms of radio, TV, telecommunications, museums. So all that together, we know it's going to be underestimated, but at least it gives you an idea of what we mean by culture as a percentage of GNP. And notice that throughout all these years, from 1992 through 2016, culture, as defined, as I said before, grew 8% annually. And GNP in Puerto Rico also grew in nominal terms, 8%. The red line is the percentage of culture as a percentage of GNP. So it could be in 1997 that it was $1.6 billion in terms of culture, and that accounted for 4.9% of GNP. Fast track to 2020, and over the past 4 years, GNP and the contribution of culture to GNP has fallen, has declined. In fact, it has been reduced by 14% annually over these past 4 years. And in terms of GNP, well, in nominal terms, it grew 0.1%, so very anemic in terms of all the recession that Puerto Rico has been undergoing since 2007. And we are still, in real terms, in an economic depression. So at the peak in 2016, it accounted for $3.1 billion or 4.4%. So in other countries, doing research for this economic capsule, we have Argentina, and that accounted for 4.1% of GDP and 3.5% of jobs. In Brazil, 6.7% of GDP, Colombia, 2%, in the US, 7.8%. And these are old studies, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, so I don't have more recent data. But it just depicts the contribution of culture as an engine for growth. And we need more growth, more engines that will propel Puerto Rico out of this economic recession. The second graph that you're seeing next to me is jobs. The number of jobs, the blue line is the number of jobs in culture, again in the same sectors that I measured for GNP, that is art, entertainment, museums, radio, telecommunications, TV, all that. And they accounted in 1992 for 10,159 jobs. Not a despicable number of jobs. Back in 2020, that's about 2 years ago, we are now in fiscal 2022, it accounted for 10,282 jobs, or almost 0.9% of total employment in Puerto Rico. So interesting contribution to GNP, interesting contribution in terms of jobs. Can it really, I think it's underestimated, but at least you have some idea that it does contribute to growth in terms of jobs and GNP. And then the last capsule, which is the one that really stimulated me into talking about this topic, is what has been happening in terms of these austerity measures imposed by the Fiscal Oversight Board, better known as PROMESA in Puerto Rico, that has been fiscally overseeing Puerto Rico since 2016. And it's still going strong in terms of its it's the realm of austerity measures, and the latest fiscal budget that we have for the general fund as well as the overall combined budget is depicts that in 2019 through 2022, which are the columns that you see there, divided by very specific agencies that we have determined are proxies for culture. Again, I understand they're going to be underestimated, but it gives you an idea. And the Institute of Culture is the segment, the blue segment in those bars. The musical arts, where our symphonic orchestra is the orange segment. The green segment is the fine arts, the Center for Fine Arts. And the mustard color is the Conservatory of Music, where students go and practice and learn about music. In 2019, the budget was, combined budget of all these four agencies was $37 million. And in 2020, it was 38 million. That's a 5% increase. All of the segments had positive increases according to this budget. 2021 compared with 2020, there was an overall increase of 8%, but certain segments did suffer sufficient declines, like 3% for the Conservatory of Music and 21% for musical arts, where our symphonic orchestra is. Two segments had double-digit increases, and that was the Institute of Culture, 20%, and 32% for the Fine Arts Center. However, fast track to 2022, which is the fiscal budget that has been approved, recently approved, it's a decline of 14%. From $42 million in 2021, now it's $36 million for this proxy of culture. So instead of stimulating this engine of growth, we are reducing the stimulus for these segments. And all sectors, except maybe tiny, teeny, weeny 5% increase in musical arts, not enough for our symphonic orchestra to survive after the decline that it suffered back in 2021. We see declines in the Conservatory of Music, 2%, 34% in terms of fine arts, and 18% Institute of Culture. So overall, a 14% decline, whereas before, from 2019 through 2021, the fiscal budget at least had increased a 7% growth. So it's as if wiping out 2022, all those increases that they were given before, they were wiped out. Certainly, it gives you pause to think, where is the Fiscal Oversight Board? Where is the Puerto Rico legislature in terms of those options that we have for an engine of growth such as culture? Until the next one, don't forget to give us a like in our economic capsules. Stay safe.